Picture this. It's the dead of night, and a sleeping lion is about to wake up and literally wipe an entire city off the map. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the catastrophic eruption of the Nevado del Ruiz volcano. And look, this isn't just your standard story of a natural disaster. It's a terrifying sequence of ignored warnings, sheer bad luck, and a heartbreaking human toll that absolutely shocked the world.
So, what exactly happens when 43 million tons of water races toward a sleeping city in the dead of night? Imagine a massive wall of wet concrete roaring through river valleys, completely undetected by the 31,000 people fast asleep right in its path. Imagine that unstoppable force just bearing down on you in the pitch black.
Just hours before the tragedy on November 13, 1985, the city of Armero was doing fine. It was a thriving, prosperous agricultural hub. People affectionately called it Colombia's White City because of its massive cotton fields. The families resting there were totally unaware that their home was about to become a ghost town.
Part 1. The warnings ignored. A ticking clock to disaster.
You see, the most deeply heartbreaking aspect of this tragedy is the dramatic irony. The terrifying signs of this incoming disaster were actually visible for nearly a year. These creeping geological warnings built a steady, ticking clock right up to the eruption. As early as December 1984, earthquakes started shaking the area. By January, geologists spotted a brand new crater. In September, a state of alert was declared following a small eruption. And by October 1985, geologists published a hazard map. It clearly predicted that Armero could be totally flooded by a deadly river of mud and debris. But tragically, it was heavily criticized. By some officials, it was completely dismissed as simply being too alarming. Then, the day of the disaster arrives. At 3 p.m., the volcano erupts. But shortly after, seismic activity temporarily returns to normal. In what would become a fatal miscalculation, authorities decide not to initiate an evacuation. And just like that, the town's doom is sealed.
Part 2. The deadly mudflow. 9 p.m. The eruption.
By this point, a heavy storm has knocked out communications. And at 9 p.m., the volcano erupts again, melting 16% of its surface ice and triggering an unstoppable lahar. The sheer volume of this event was catastrophic. The heat from the eruption instantly released a staggering 43 million tons of water.
Now, this massive mixture of water, rock, ash, and sediment turned into a mud flow racing down the mountain at 22 miles per hour. To give you an idea of how terrifyingly fast that is, that's almost as fast as Usain Bolt's best 100-meter sprint. But it's a literal mountain of mud coming at you.
Plunging through the river valleys, it reached terrifying depths of up to 460 feet. It wiped out everything in its path before striking Armero directly at 11:30 p.m. Residents had almost zero warning.
Part 3. 60 hours in the mud. The ordeal of Omaira Sanchez.
As the mudflow finally settled, the rescue effort slowed to an absolute grueling crawl. The sheer, sticky mass of the mud made it impossible for heavy machinery to get in without sinking. This desperate, chaotic situation is forever captured by the heartbreaking story of a 13-year-old girl named Omaira Sanchez. Completely immobilized by the heavy rubble of her own home, trapped up to her neck in freezing water with her legs pinned, Omaira became the tragic focal point of a frantic, totally unequipped rescue attempt. Rescuers simply didn't have the pumps to clear the water without drowning her or the tools to free her legs.
She spent 60 agonizing hours trapped in that debris. Yet, through it all, she displayed incredible courage. She sang, she prayed, and towards the end, she even hallucinated, telling the photographers and rescuers that she really didn't want to miss a math exam at school. The entire world watched in horror. Journalist Germán Santamaría Barragán captured the bitter realization perfectly, noting that her face and courage remained a testimony of accusation. Broadcast globally, she became a silent accusation against the system. Simple government pumps might have saved her life, but they never arrived. She passed away from hypothermia and gangrene.
Omaira's mother, who survived the disaster, later spoke these absolutely devastating words. "It is horrible, but we have to think about the living." Her grief anchors the massive, unimaginable scale of this disaster into a deeply intimate, agonizing human loss.
Part 4. A ghost town today. Visualizing the destruction.
When the water and mud finally subsided, daylight revealed what was left of the White City, and the visual transformation is just shocking. Armero went from a sprawling 3.30 square kilometers to just 0.14 square kilometers. Let that sink in. Approximately 95% of the city's urban area was completely erased from the map, swallowed whole.
And the human cost? It was staggering. Out of roughly 31,000 residents in the area, about 23,000 people, so that's more than 2/3 of the city's population, perished. To this very day, it remains South America's deadliest ever volcano eruption.
If you go there today, the area is an extensive, incredibly eerie cemetery. Survivors created Camposanto, a symbolic city, where they constructed tombs, shrines, and memorials exactly over the spots where their hospitals, parks, and thousands of homes used to be.
Part 5, the sleeping lion still breathes. The threat remains.
Because the most crucial takeaway from this explainer is that the story of Nevado del Ruiz definitely did not end in 1985. The mountain is still highly active right now. Up to 500,000 people currently live in nearby cities, towns, and villages directly threatened by this still active volcano. The sleeping lion is just waiting.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, we really have to look back at the sacrifice of Armero and ask ourselves a pretty terrifying question. If the sleeping lion wakes again tomorrow, have we actually learned enough to save the hundreds of thousands of people in its path? Or will the crushing weight of history repeat itself? Thanks for watching, and stay curious.